At the start of the 2025 Formula One season, Ferrari made headlines across the world by signing Lewis Hamilton, a seven-time world champion and one of the greatest drivers in the history of the sport. It was a move that symbolized ambition, experience, and a desire to return to championship glory. But while many fans and experts saw Hamilton's arrival as a major shift for Ferrari, others questioned how the team would handle having the top-tier drivers Hamilton and Leclerc under one roof. Who would lead the team? Who would get the technical preference? And most importantly, who would be the number one? Well, now, as we move deeper into the season, we may finally have the answer. It's not coming from interviews or press statements. It's not something Ferrari will say out loud. The answer lies in the data, in the telemetry, sector times, car behavior, and driving feedback. And that data is pointing to one clear fact. Lewis Hamilton is now Ferrari's number one driver. The Canadian Grand Prix gave us one of the clearest indicators yet. Despite Ferrari having one of its worst races of the season, leaving Montreal with 0 points, the data collected over the weekend revealed a lot about the internal dynamics between Hamilton and Leclerc. Most strikingly, the telemetry showed that Ferrari had developed and introduced upgrades that matched Hamilton's driving style more closely than Leclerc's. Let's break this down. The upgrades brought to the SF25 for Canada included a redesigned floor, altered rear suspension components, and a slightly modified aerodynamic package intended to improve slow corner traction and rear stability under braking. These areas especially, braking performance and traction, are where Lewis Hamilton historically excels. Over the years at Mercedes, Hamilton has fine-tuned his style to rely on precise trail braking, aggressive rotation in tight corners, and an extremely sensitive feel for rear-end grip. It's no surprise, then, that the new package seemed to fit him better. According to internal data leaked from the paddock, Hamilton was consistently faster than Leclerc in corner exit speeds throughout the Montreal weekend, especially in turns 2, 6, and 10. These are technical, tricky corners where rear-end grip and smooth throttle control matter most. In all three sectors, telemetry graphs showed Hamilton applying throttle earlier and more confidently than Leclerc. That alone doesn't prove favoritism, but when combined with the rest of the data, it becomes very telling. Another critical area was braking. Hamilton was able to brake later and carry more minimum speed through several chicanes, particularly in the second and third sectors. The upgraded suspension seemed to work better under his inputs, giving him more confidence in how the car behaved under load. Meanwhile, Leclerc struggled to stabilize the rear during deceleration, leading to more corrections mid-corner and a loss of lap time. But it wasn't just one weekend. If we zoom out and look at the past few races, Miami, Imola, Monaco, and now Canada, pattern begins to form. In the past, Ferrari's development strategy often leaned toward Leclerc's feedback, as he was their long-term star. But since Hamilton joined, there's been a noticeable shift. Upgrades have started, targeting issues Hamilton specifically raised: floor stiffness, steering rack response, differential behavior under power. All areas Hamilton mentioned during early debriefs have been addressed first. Telemetry comparisons confirm that his car has benefited slightly more from each change. Now, this isn't to say that Ferrari is neglecting Leclerc. He remains a fast, talented, and respected part of the team. But when you compare the attention given to Hamilton's feedback versus Leclerc's in team radio transcripts, race simulations, and testing adjustments, the difference is clear. Ferrari is prioritizing Hamilton not because of favoritism, but because his technical feedback is helping the team make progress faster. In fact, some engineers within Ferrari have quietly admitted that Hamilton's direction has improved their understanding of the SF25's flaws more than expected. One anonymous source said, "We were chasing the wrong areas early in the season. Lewis brought a fresh perspective. He's helped us reframe how we look at balance, tire wear, and aero consistency." It's been a huge shift. The data also proves something even more important: Hamilton's ability to adapt to a new car philosophy. The SF25 is very different from the Mercedes cars he spent years in, but despite this, he has steadily closed the gap to Leclerc and, in some cases, outperformed him. That speaks volumes about his talent and work ethic. Even when the car is unpredictable or underperforming, Hamilton finds a way to maximize it. Telemetry from the Canadian GP also showed that Hamilton's race pace was stronger than Leclerc's when both were running on the same tire compound and fuel load. in comparable stints during practice and early laps of the race. Hamilton was able to maintain better tire temperature, more consistent lap times, and smoother degradation curves. His throttle and brake traces were more linear, showing better car control in changing conditions. This type of consistency under pressure is what makes teams lean toward a driver as their leader. When the engineers can rely on one driver's data more than the others, development naturally starts to follow that path, and that's exactly what we're seeing at Ferrari. Another sign that Hamilton is now seen as the lead driver came during the post-race meetings in Montreal. Team principal Fred Vasseur reportedly held a one-on-one debrief with Hamilton, lasting almost an hour, twice as long as Leclerc's session. During that discussion, they reviewed not just race data, but development plans for upcoming races. Sources claim that Hamilton requested specific simulator sessions with new rear aero components and updated damper settings, and the team approved those adjustments almost immediately. This kind of influence doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a driver earns the trust of the team, and Hamilton, with his experience and precision, has done just that. It's also worth noting that Hamilton has remained calm and composed in public, even when the car hasn't delivered. His interviews have been realistic but supportive. He's pushed for progress without slamming the team. That leadership style matters, especially for a team like Ferrari that has struggled with internal pressure and media scrutiny. Leclerc, by contrast, has occasionally let his frustration show. While that's understandable, it affects how the team views each driver's ability to lead through tough times. So what does all of this mean for the rest of the season? First, we can expect Hamilton to continue shaping Ferrari's development path. His feedback is now central to how the SF-5 evolves. As the team prepares more upgrades for upcoming races, particularly at Silverstone, Hungary, and Monza, they'll likely continue optimizing the car for his style. That could mean even more gains for Hamilton, and possibly a few struggles for Leclerc if the car starts drifting away from his preferences. Second, Ferrari's strategy decisions may start to reflect Hamilton's new status. Don't be surprised if he gets priority in qualifying order, pit stop timing, or setup direction on certain weekends. These are subtle shifts, but they all point to a hierarchy forming within the team. And third, it changes how rival teams see Ferrari. For Red Bull and McLaren, a Ferrari team led by Hamilton is more dangerous than one that's indecisive. If Ferrari can rally behind him and deliver consistent upgrades, Hamilton is still capable of fighting for wins and even the championship if reliability and development go their way. In the end, telemetry doesn't lie. It's the most honest reflection of what's happening on track tools. We move into the second half of the 2025 season. It's becoming clear that Lewis Hamilton is doing far more than just driving the SF-25. He's shaping the entire culture of Ferrari from within. In past years, Ferrari often struggled with indecision, split strategies, and conflicting feedback between drivers. But since Hamilton's arrival, those old patterns are starting to fade, and the telemetry data is giving us the clearest proof of all. In several simulator sessions at Maranello, engineers have reportedly focused exclusively on Hamilton's feedback loops. Data from his runs is now the benchmark used when evaluating new parts. That means when the team wants to see if something works, they test it against Hamilton's telemetry first. His lines, throttle modulation, brake pressure, and mid-corner speeds are now the control variables. This internal prioritization didn't happen overnight. But as Ferrari tried to solve its persistent setup issues earlier in the year, Hamilton's data consistently led them to more accurate conclusions. His ability to sense changes in wind balance, floor stiffness, and even micro-level tire wear patterns has been a revelation for Ferrari's aero and suspension teams. Engineers have privately admitted that some of their previous development, especially those taken in 2023 and 2024, were based on less consistent driver feedback, leading to upgrades that had unintended side effects. Now, with Hamilton's influence, there's a new sense of clarity, and that clarity is reflected in how Ferrari structures their weekends. In Monaco,